Good morning, CBA. Happy new week. I want to give you guys an update. We're over a month into our elementary school year and now approaching a month with our early education programs. And the main word we keep focusing on with our teachers is shalom, and this idea that the peace of God is in us and then in us and through us. And so no matter what's going on in the world, His conquering peace can be greater. And we got a lot going on in our world. One of the things I do is I try to get up before the rest of the world and just get time with Jesus in Scripture and reading it, meditating on it, and praying through it. Just want to share something that came up this past week. King Jehoshaphat had tough stuff going on around him. And there's this one point, this battle's brewing, and it says, God says to him, "You will not have to fight this battle. Take up your position, stand firm, and see the deliverance the Lord will give you, Judah and Jerusalem. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Go out to face them tomorrow, and the Lord will be with you." The story goes on to say they started singing praise songs, and the enemy just dissolved in front of them as they fought and ran right in front of them. And we absolutely believe the God of the universe is fighting our battles for us. And knowing that gives us such incredible conquering peace as we move forward. And I just want to give God praise that even as we've got COVID and sicknesses on the outside, we've been able to continue school. Our teachers are doing great. The classrooms are a place it's a shalom. It's a refuge for these kids. And I'm so grateful for your support. Parents, you really have been spectacular. If there's been an exposure, you're letting us know. You're doing the quarantines. As kids are getting sick, you're letting us know. You're quarantining. And so just want to take a second, just kind of give you some statistics as well as just remind you what those protocols are. So up to this point, we've had 4 classes quarantined. There was a kindergarten class and then 2 of our 3-year-old classes and then a 2nd grade class. And those quarantines look like we found out a child had tested positive to COVID, and so we go back 48 hours and see which kids were around that child or in an indoor setting for more than 15 minutes, and that's always the class, and so we quarantine the whole class. And so when that happens, then we take a day to prepare packets as well as Zoom schedules to set up classes or small group times so we can continue to work with the kids even while they're at home. And then after 7 days, they can produce a negative test for COVID and without symptoms and come back to school. Or a lot of parents are just saying, we don't want to do the test, so then you just have to wait 10 days, and then if the child doesn't have symptoms, they can come back to class. For parents who've just been great and telling us you've been quarantined, you let us know that. We prepare packets, and we set you up for at least Spanish tutoring with our KOM programs to make sure the kids are just continuing to practice Spanish even when they're out of class. And so if that does happen, make sure you contact us so we can set you up with those supplements. If you have had COVID exposure in your own home, your child, if they have COVID, then they have to go 10 days. And if by 10 days they're fever-free and all symptoms are gone or improving, then they can come back to class. If somebody else has COVID in the class, in the home, then every single day they're exposed to that person, 15 minutes indoors, then their quarantine is prolonged. So for example, say mom has COVID and is with the child every day. Mom's contagious up till day 10. And then the child needs to go another 7 days, and after 7 days, if they have a negative COVID test and they're symptom-free, they can come back in. But say mom gets it, and then brother gets it, then dad gets it, as long as they keep getting exposed, their exposure goes until the last 10-day cycle of the person who has COVID, then they go another 7 days and then have to be either doctor's clearance or have a negative test and be symptom-free. So anytime we're having these sicknesses, we are asking for parents to either get a doctor's clearance or to have a negative test and to be symptom-free. It's a lot going on, so let us know if you have any questions with that. Besides COVID, we've had some cases of I think 2 cases of RSV. We've had some upset stomach viruses, and my baby's class, the 20 months old, they had hand, foot, and mouth. So I just want you guys to know we're going through this with you. I actually had 2 children in a quarantine at home doing homeschooling this past week, as well as a baby with hand, foot, and mouth, and that's still while I'm leading the school, and my wife is teaching math, and since we're contacts of contacts, we're allowed to continue to do that, but we're scrambling for childcare and trying to get kids on Zoom calls, and it's not ideal. But we're doing it together. I do believe we're going to look back on these days and we're going to see how our friendships were forged because we're just doing life together. We're struggling together, but we're seeing the shalom of Christ be greater than the lack of shalom in the world. And we get to raise our kids not in an environment of fear, but in an environment where there's peace of Christ and there's the love of Christ as we figure out how to do schooling day by day with our families together, inspiring world changers.